Hello everyone, I hope you find yourself having a great day. So you want to have some really cool looking videos. Maybe some exciting, extravagant, delightfully delicious skies. Well, you can do that with a ND filter, a neutral density filter, or you can do it in Photoshop and apply that effect in After Effects. I'm going to show you how. It's pretty fun, pretty cool. I'm going to be working in a 1080p timeline, so I'm going to create a 1080p or a 1020 by 1080 by 720 piece of stuff here. So I'll do a new one, 1080 by 720. No, it's going to be 1920 by 1080. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to produce a gradient fill, and we're going to pick a color that's going to be similar to a sky color, something about like this. And we're going to transition that from the blue color to a transparent color. So I'm going to select my gradient tool, and then I'm going to pick the color to transparency. And what I'm going to do, if you look on my After Effects timeline here, I'm going to build my gradient so that it covers an area of the sky. This is just some old sample footage, just some junk footage I was out and getting, but something suitable to show you how to apply this. Basically, it's going to simulate an ND filter to accentuate the sky and brighten that up and make it a little more cheerful. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a sky color, and that can be darker or deeper. We go a little bit darker here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag about like this, and you see that it's put in a dark onto light. And I can Control Z to undo that, and maybe I'd like to get it a little bit more gradual, something like that, or maybe something a little bit more severe, something about like that. This looks more suitable for what I want to do. So we're going to have a solid blue, and then it gradually fades into transparent. So I'm going to save that as a PNG file, and that's going to, we'll just call that sky. Okay, that PNG is going to retain this transparent information, and that's going to be helpful for us in a little bit. So I've got my footage, and I'm going to bring in that transparency. So what I can do is right click in my project manager here, import file, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and we're going to look for that sky. Got that there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it on top of this, top of our footage, and you'll see, well, wow, we've got a blue sky. How wonderful is that? Well, that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is we want to set its transfer mode to an overlay. And we can toggle our modes here, and then for that sky PNG we're going to choose overlay. Now what that does is it only affects the dark areas. It does not affect the light areas. And so you can see if I turn that on and off, there's without it, there's with it, and you see how it gradually moves down into my foreground or my terrain. Now you can see that it's kind of bleeding into that terrain. If we scrub through this, you can see that we've got this blue hue on our buildings and on our grass and our trees and whatnot. It's not what we want. But what we can do is I can take a mask, and I can drop this mask in here so that it's right on my horizon or thereabout. I'm going to come into it a little bit, because what I'm going to do ultimately is if I go into my mask properties here, I can apply a feather on that mask, and it'll soften that back up and back it on up into the sky there a little bit. I can even take that mask expansion and go reverse or negative, and you see how now if I back it up, see how it's playing with that mask for me? I can, if you watch here, if you watch right here on the horizon with that mask expansion, you'll see that I can pull that on up right there to the horizon so that it's a lot more believable. Alright, so we can deselect that, and we see how we've now accentuated that sky by manipulating its intensity in only the dark areas with that transparency that we've overlaid. Now, what you can do is, if you do have a little bit more movement in your scene and that mask needs to adapt to the movement, what you can do is select that mask, and if we go back to our beginning of our timeline, this mask has path information that we can keyframe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keyframe that and actually move it along if required. Right here it might need to come up a little bit. And you'll see that it has inserted a keyframe for me. And right here it might need to go up a little bit. And maybe just a touch right here. And I think that looks pretty good. So we can deselect that mask, and then if we scrub through our timeline, you'll see that we've accentuated that sky, give it a little bit more interest. Now, this blue isn't the only color you can work with. You can go with golds, you can go with reds, you can even have multiple overlays where you've got maybe some purple playing in, or a dark violet playing in with some blues and some reds, and gives some really interesting effects. And for a lot of us, we don't have these extravagant locations and the opportunity to travel to get this type of look, because you'll find this in nature quite often, but it's not something that you see very often, or in my part of the woods here in Central Florida. But it's a good way that if you take your regular footage and drop in that PNG overlay to really add a little bit of life and vibrance to your footage. So I hope that helps. Remember, if you like this video, comment, rate, and subscribe. Talk to you later.